Now here at the Australian Ballet, we are world renowned for our amazing rehab and injury prevention, and that's completely due to our artistic health team. And we are joined today by Dr. Sue Mays to talk us through what we've been learning over the last couple of years. Sue, thanks for joining us today. You've been researching hips for dancers, so how's that been going?
Great, well we've got some updates. I don't know if you remember, because you were part of this research, that about 5 or 6 years ago, we actually MRI'd the dancers' hips.
I remember that. I was, young hips.
And then just not that long ago, we did MRIs again. And the great news is that we actually found that the hips of our dancers do not deteriorate over time, which is incredible.
That's good to know.
So that really means that ballet is actually not bad for your hips. And in fact, we found that dancers' hips are actually stronger. Their muscles around their hips are stronger than the athletes. So perhaps that's a really protective mechanism to make sure we keep healthy hips.
Go us.
Yeah, so what we've got going on over here is that Sophie's actually going to show us the hip exercises that we get all our dancers to do. They do it in the morning before class. And I feel that this has been such an important preventative strategy because we don't do hip arthroscopies anymore. It's very rare that dancers have to modify their workload because of hip pain. And I think it's these exercises that have made a big difference.
Great, let's have a look. Come on in. Where are we? Here we are. Sophie, how are you going?
Excellent. Good morning, Jared.
How are you? What are you doing over here?
Well, we're doing one of our key hip exercises. So this is quite a well-known exercise, the hamstring bridge. So what we're looking for with this exercise is that the pelvis remains neutral, that one side's not leading compared to the other side, that this supporting leg isn't floating out, and that we're aiming for about 25 single legs in a row. And then, as you can see with Sarah, small but mighty, you can build to having some weight on there as well. So this works not only the hamstrings, but the lower glutes as well.
Wow. I haven't put the weights on yet. I'm not up to that point. She's gone really strong.
Phase 2. Can I show you the next one?
Yeah, please, come on.
Thank you. So over here, Sophie is showing what we call 4-point kneeling. So this is for the muscles that externally rotate or turn out your hip.
Yep.
So we do it in this position because what's key about this position is it targets the turnout muscles that are really low and a bit more about stabilising in dancers. So while it doesn't seem like it's the same sort of position that you use your turnout muscles in class, it really targets the specific ones that we know from the research are really important for dancers. The other key thing about this position is that it's normally quite comfortable for irritable hips. So with all our exercises, we make sure that they're pain-free when they're doing them. So because your turnout muscles in dancers are an endurance muscle, you spend so much time in turnout, this is also an endurance exercise. So as you can see, Sophie is starting off with a sustained position. She's in a little bit of turnout. We're making sure that the hamstrings aren't working, that the side of the hip isn't working, that the adductors aren't working. Where you're really aiming to feel that burn is more next to that sit bone, which is where your turnout muscles exist. And once you've held for a while and you've got that feeling, you can then challenge the muscle a little bit more. So Soph, do you want to show some side to sides this way? Great.
I've done these. There's a deep burn doing that.
There is a deep burn, isn't there?
It looks a bit, it looks hard. She's on a lazy Susan, but this ain't a lazy exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more. Good, so careful you don't drop those ribs. That's right, and or you could do some back forwards like so. Good, careful you don't lead with your left side. That's it.
How's it going, Soph?
Yeah, it's burning.
It's
Burning?
burning, good.
Keep the camera rolling.
And
Let's see how long she lasts.
and then you can add some extra turn out, which is where the lazy Susan comes in. Brilliant.
Amazing. Let's give her a rest. Let's move on.
I think so. Let's move on.
That's pretty intense.
Thank you, Sophie. So,
All right, what's next?
over here, Tyson is wonderfully showing an exercise for the inner thigh muscles. So these are really key for dancers as well. So this we call the adductor side lie. So Tyson's initially doing a hold and he's working the inner thigh muscles right up high. So again, inner thigh muscles in dancers, very endurance based. As you can see, bit of a shake.
I just want to see how long it's going to last with the camera.
Yeah, totally. So we start with a 1 minute hold. Tyson, could you do the bend and straightens or plies for me? Fantastic. So this
I
is
see, yeah.
targeting slightly different adductor muscles.
Keeping it engaged whilst going through movement.
Absolutely. This top leg's out of the way to ensure that the pelvis is still level, so that if you put that top knee down, then sometimes it makes the pelvis a bit uneven. So we're trying to keep the pelvis level and the back well and truly out of the picture. And then Tyson, do you want to finish this off with some up and downs? Little movement, not resting in between. That's it.
And just smile and breathe, the whole world's watching.
Yep, absolutely. So the total aim is 1 minute hold, 10 plies, so 10 bend and straightens, and then 30 lifts with at least 5 kilos on the ankle. But build up to that slowly.
It does hurt.
It really
It
hurts.
does hurt. No matter how many times you do it, it never stops hurting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tyson. And last but not least, one
Yep.
of my favourite exercises. So there's this amazing muscle at the front of the hip called psoas or iliopsoas.
Sorry,
And
get out of the
it's
way.
so important for dancers, and the reason being there aren't many muscles that hold the leg above 90 degrees, and that's obviously key for dancers. So iliopsoas quite often has a very bad reputation as being tight, and I think it's tight because it's not necessarily coping with what it's been asked to do.
This is where I've been struggling
Yeah?
my entire career. I'm sure you just saw in class how my leg never gets above 90 degrees. So this is what I've got to be working on. This is for me.
This is for you. So we begin this exercise above 90 degrees. You can just use a resistance band, or in this case, Montana's using the weighted system. The knees completely relaxed, so you're not using your quad muscles. You're really using that psoas muscle, which starts on the front of the spine and then attaches down on the front of the hip. And because, again, it's quite often an endurance muscle in dancers, we can start with a hold, and then you can do some small movements like this, making sure that the muscles on the side of the hip here aren't working, that it's really that deep muscle through the front of the hip and spine that's generating the movement.
This one's kind of hard to find because I remember always my ballet teachers were saying stop using my hip flexors.
Yep.
And that's such a natural bulky muscle to engage in those my high ranges.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why we target this exercise in a position where we know it's most likely to move. So it's more likely to activate above 90 degrees as opposed to below 90 degrees.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Montana.
Going good. Well, thanks, guys.
Pleasure.
Obviously, it's safe to say we couldn't survive without you guys. But now we're going to head back to the studio to see some more rehearsals.